So I'm pleased to introduce our Strand 1 talk of day 3, Greg Wagstaff. Greg is a teacher trainer and English language learning video content creator based in Seville, Spain. Originally from Cambridge, England, he freelances for Cambridge University Press and Assessment in Spain. He also works as a presenter for the YouTube channel Learn English with Cambridge. During Greg's session, we recommend watching in speaker view. Take it away and please share your screen, Greg.
Thank you very much, Simon. Just allow me to share my screen and we will get going. Okay, so there we go. So Simon, yeah, thank you very much for the introduction, and everybody out there, thank you very much for coming. So yes, I'm going to be talking today the next 30 minutes about embracing social media in the EFL classroom. Now, this is a topic I'm particularly passionate about, so I'm extremely pleased to be here today talking about it. As Simon said, I'm a teacher and teacher trainer based in Seville in the south of Spain, although I'm currently back in Cambridge for the time being. And also connected to my job, I'm also lucky enough, and connected to social media, I'm lucky enough to be one of 9 presenters for the Learn English with Cambridge YouTube channel. It's full of really great content on there, some great videos for both teachers and students alike. So if you haven't stopped by and checked this out, please do so. Please stop by, say hello, subscribe, and yeah, enjoy our videos. So enough about me and more about today. So I'm going to begin today, even though we're talking about language, of course, our primary concern is in our profession is the teaching of language. I'm actually going to begin with a number, and that number is 144. And what I'd like you to do is just comment in the chat box, take some time to think, what does 144 mean in relation to today's session, please? Think about the title of the session, think about the topic, and think and comment with what does 144 mean in relation to today's session, please. So I'll be looking at the chat box. Hello to everybody that said hello. We've got people from Romania, Portugal, fantastic. But yeah, please comment in the chat box with what does 144 mean in relation to today's session, please? Thank you, Amir. The number of different social media apps, possibly, Amir. Okay, that's a really good start. Hello, everybody just coming in. Thank you. Hello from Lisbon. Amount of time children spend online. Thank you very much. That's another good guess. So yeah, just think 144. What does it mean in relation to today's session? Of course, we're talking about embracing social media in the EFL classroom today. Number of posts on social media. Thank you, Annabella. I'll give you just about another 20 more seconds, guys, just to get your ideas in. Average time spent online, rather. Natasha, thank you very much. Tamang, hello from Nepal. Nepal. Oh, how cool. Sandra, number of words written on post. Okay, a few more seconds, guys. Get your guesses in. 144. What does it mean in relation to today's session, please? Okay. So let me show you the answer now, Natasha. You were actually correct there. Okay, so what that means is 100, it's actually minutes, 144 minutes is the amount of time the average person spends on social media daily. Okay, so of course that's 2 hours and 24 minutes a day, the average person. I'm not here today to talk about whether that's right or wrong. I think that's a discussion for another time. But simply what I wanted to emphasize before I started my talk is that it's quite obvious that social media plays a massive part in a lot of our lives, and it has an obvious ability to motivate, engage, and interest us. There's no doubting this just by the amount of time that we spend on them. However, this ability, this potential to motivate, engage, and interest, is it necessarily used in your classroom? If not, then hopefully today I can perhaps inspire you to use it a little more in your class and its obvious teaching and learning benefits as well. So just a brief overview of what I'm going to be talking about today is what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the benefits of social media in 5 different things. Okay, so we've got real world context, connectivity, self-assessment, English outside of the classroom, and then modern communication as well. I'm very much a practical speaker. I'm a teacher first and foremost. That's what I pride myself on. And whenever I like to see talks, I like to see ideas contextualized, ideas in the classroom, ideas that I can use in the Monday morning planning battle. So what I've tried to do, although these are connected by themes and there's a touch of theory in these particular sections, a lot of it is practical ideas just to demonstrate what I'm talking about and to make that very, very clear to you. So yes, we're going to begin with real world context. Now, this is probably the part of my talk that I'm most passionate about, and that's the idea that in our classroom, obviously we're teaching language within the four walls of our classroom. And in order to, one of the keys of language retention and language learning is making things relevant to us. When we can see the purpose of why we're learning something, whatever we're learning, then we're that much more likely to retain that language and use it productively in the future. And I'm a big believer in real world context provided by mobile phones. Often within our four walls of our classroom, it's quite hard to reach the outside world, but mobile phones can give us that. But what exactly do I mean, and what does that look like in the classroom? So I'm going to start with talking about how we could put task types in real world context using mobile phones. If I ask you the question, for example, how often do you write an email on a piece of paper? I don't know how often you guys write emails on a piece of paper, but I never do, of course. They're all done digitally. So next time, imagine next time in class, you're teaching an email writing lesson or how to formally write emails or informally write emails. Why not use our pupils' mobile phones to actually write real emails in class? It just completely changes the dynamic of a classroom, because what your pupils can see, they can suddenly see the real world relevance and purpose of what you're teaching. And secondly, and another question I'd like to ask you, how often do you have telephone conversations, for example, with somebody sitting next to you and without a telephone? How often does that happen in your real world? Again, I would probably hazard a guess at never. So next time we're teaching telephone language or training our pupils about how to talk appropriately over the phone, again, whether it's formally or informally, why not ask your pupils to have real telephone conversations where maybe half of the class goes outside of the classroom and then they ring each other and talk through there, or perhaps on different sides of the room even. Whatever it is, instantly using a mobile phone to create that real world context will change the dynamic of a task and inspire and engage our pupils that much more. And just the fact there's background noise going on, other people having their conversations, again, just replicates a real world context. How often when we speak on our phones, in our office, do we have background noise, or perhaps on a train or something like that? So again, it just gives lots of real world context. And then finally, imagine you're teaching, for example, the language of debate in class, agreeing, disagreeing, modal verbs, things like that. Let's have a think about, with a mobile phone, what real world context do we do that with in a mobile phone? And that is places like Facebook. Okay, on Facebook posts or other comments, we're always giving our opinions, whether we agree, whether we disagree. So why not, again, after teaching your pupils these certain language points, why not use your mobile phone to put this task in a real world context and ask them to comment on certain things in social media? Perhaps you might want to keep it a bit, safer, perhaps, and they comment on each other's posts. Or if you're confident in your students and their ability to use social media wisely and well, then let them just comment on whatever they see fit. So we looked at task types now. So this is how a mobile phone can give a real world context and take that language from outside of the classroom and make it more meaningful for pupils. There's task types, and also there's language in real world context. Okay, and this task types, you can do many, many tasks using a mobile phone, but language, it's almost infinite in terms of all the language points, grammar, lexicons that are out there. A lot can be provided with a mobile phone. For example, if we start with voice notes, for example, you think about how we use reported speech in real life. It's invariably through voice notes. It can happen where, for example, I'm organising a party with David and Simon. Simon says to me, "Have you spoke to David?" And I said, "David, he said to me through a voice note, he said that he was coming to the party." So you can weave in voice notes into reported speech activities. Use your own photo caches for wishes and regrets. Why not ask your pupils, again, after teaching them the language, to select some photos where perhaps They could say what they wish happened or what they wish didn't happen. On that topic, photos are very, very versatile, to be honest. You can weave lots of different language points into it. And of course, it's personalizing content, which again, makes it more real for our pupils. And yeah, just another example, Twitter feeds for past tenses as well. So again, mobile phones can put language in real world context, which again, just to repeat what I've said a few times now, is there to motivate, engage, and interest our pupils even more so. YouTube, of course, one of the biggest social media out there, is very, very versatile. And you can take certain types of videos to put language in real world context. For example, one of my favorite activities, again, when teaching reported speech, is asking pupils to look at some famous movie quotes and then to change them into reported speech. Or a really nice one for doing wishes and regrets. I'm a big fan of this, are funny fails or funny bloopers online. I say pupils, people in general love watching those types of videos on YouTube. So why not weave them into your class and make it a bit more real next time you're doing wishes and regrets, and use this certain type of video. So before moving on to the next section, I just want to reinforce that point. Something I really believe in. Okay, it gives a real world context to whatever you're teaching in class. Okay, so moving on swiftly. I've got another task for you guys. Okay, this is to introduce the next theme. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a WhatsApp conversation, as you can see here. What I've done, not what I've done actually, this was a group of pupils that made this for me, but what they did was they had a WhatsApp conversation, they deleted one half of the conversation, and we were left with this. So this is your task, please. In just a minute, I'm going to ask you, what are the deleted messages? Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to look at missing message number 1, look at the next message, and think about what could be missing message number 1, and comment in the chat box, please. Okay, so there's the conversation, and there's message number 1, the deleted message. Please comment in the chat box with what could be deleted message number 1. Thank you, Amir. Straight in there, Amir. Thank you. When do your parents arrive? Thank you. So yeah, look at the following comment and think what could be the first comment. Have your cousins arrived yet? Thank you, Lisa. Did you get your parcel? Thank you, Catherine. When did the package arrive? Thank you, Maria. Going out. Thank you, Julia. So I'll give you a few more seconds on this one, then please. What could be missing message number 1? Oh, Simon, very specific. Did you get the ear warmers I sent? I didn't, Simon, but I've got these. So they'll do for the time being. Okay, guys, let's have a look now, please, at missing message number 2. Now, with missing message number 2, of course, look at the comment from before and then the comment after, please, as well. Thank you, Amir. I think yours was the first guess for missing message number 2. Fantastic. A lot of these answers that are coming are very similar, which is a good sign. It means you're all on the right track. Of course, the idea of this task is to get the correct meaning, the correct essence, the correct words is impossible. So don't worry about that. Just the correct meaning is what you have to do. Okay, thank you. I'm going to move on now. It's really great participation, by the way. Please keep it up. I'm going to move on now to missing message number 3, please. Number 3. So again, look at the message that came before and the message that came after. Thank you, Maria. And Amir, I think you were the first ones in there. Lots of negative answers. Negative in terms of using the word no or sorry, which is a good sign. Okay. few more seconds. And then on to number 4, please. What could be a missing message? Number 4. Don't drink coffee. Allergic to coffee. Amir, how unfortunate. I can't have coffee. Can we have tea? Anna Rivas. Thank you, Anna. It's a really great participation so far. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate all your efforts on a Sunday. Unfortunately, I'm working on Saturday. Can't stand coffee. Beta. Tatiana. Okay, great. Guys, thank you for your participation. What I'm going to show you now is the answers. Like I said, remember, you are correct if you have the correct meaning. The exact words, don't worry about that. Okay, so thank you for your participation there. And what this is an example of is the next theme I'm going to talk about. Now, this was made by a very talented, admittedly, group of students that I had in Spain about 4 years ago. And what they did in class was, between themselves, created a WhatsApp conversation, then deleted some of the WhatsApp conversation, took screenshots of the WhatsApp conversation, sent that WhatsApp conversation to other people in the class. They looked at it. They did what we did together. They completed it. They sent it back. The other people looked at it. They sent the answers. All of these was made over social media in a classroom. And it's just a prime example. Lisa, this was WhatsApp, by the way, but you can do it on any messenger service, of the connectivity that social media provides us in the classroom. So the first thing I want to talk about is resources via connectivity. What you can do here is student creative resources. It's any kind of messaging app. You can see a few on screen there for you, will allow you to share student creative resources, whether it's a photo of a paper copy of something they've done or actually made on social media themselves, like the activity we did there. It can also, you can share quickly, you can share productive efforts. A really nice way of doing a writing activity, for example, is your pupils, they do the writing, they take a photo, they share it over Messenger, and they can get peer feedback and also provide models for their peers as well. Writing that can be shared, and you can share speaking, but I'm going to talk about that more in detail later. Of course, your resources. Okay, we're living in an environment where we're trying to create a greener world. Don't do 30 copies anymore. Get one pupil to take a photo and then share it on their social media. And of course, digital media, whether it's photos, links to YouTube, for example, as well. And also, another thing you can use it for is feedback via connectivity. So if you imagine in a standard classroom, when you ask pupils for feedback, you might hear 1 or 2 answers if you're putting it out to the whole class. What you can do with social media is that you can ask one pupil to monitor a chat for you, and you can get lots of different opinions quicker than what you would if you were just selecting people's hands. And of course, you can share answers as well. Okay, I'm a little bit conscious of time here, so I'm going a bit quicker than what I normally would. But what you can also do with a mobile phone, which is really great, quite particular, quite niche, but really, really good, is you can help improve your pupils' ability to self-assess their speaking. The first one you can do this is recording yourself speaking. Now, I don't know if you've ever recorded yourself using maybe Instagram, Facebook, or WhatsApp, the voice recording function. But listening back to yourself, to begin with, is very uncomfortable, but it provides real insight into your own speaking. You realize things about your speaking that you wouldn't have done without the ability to listen back to yourself. It provides opportunity for self-assessment and peer assessment as well. This is important. Yes, of course. Once upon a time, speaking, it had to be assessed in the moment, and you had one opportunity and then it disappeared. That was the nature of speaking assessment. However, you can now, and the fact that you can listen to it over and over again by recording yourself, increases accuracy and reliability. What you can do too as well, of course, I've talked about voice notes here, but a thought that occurred to me during the week is why not do it during video recordings as well? That's very much the way the world is going. We're using video calls and video communication much, much more. So why not record yourself actually speaking into a camera and record the image as well? A practical tip if you're using this in class, yes, make space. use headphones, okay, so you're not recording each other's noise or listening to each other's noise as well. Okay, now this is probably the activity I'm most proud of actually today. So certain social medias, for example, Google Translate and WhatsApp here, there have a little voice dictation function. Now, what that means is obviously a voice dictation function works on the basis that if you speak into a mobile phone and what you're saying is clear enough, it recognizes it and converts it into text. What that means is this little device here is perhaps, well, in my opinion, it is the greatest tool your pupils can have for self-assessed pronunciation in class. Okay, what can happen is whenever you're doing whenever you're teaching some language and comes to the pronunciation stage of your class, get your pupils to speak into one of these functions, and quite simply, if it's recognized and comes up on screen, then their pronunciation is good enough. I was going to model this activity doing a bit of Spanish, German and Welsh actually, but I don't have enough time. But yes, essentially that's the activity. Use the dictation function on a mobile phone, on social media, and yes, test your pupils' pronunciation like that. It's instead of doing choral drilling or individual drilling, which you still might want to do, it's a nice alternative to traditional pronunciation practices. It means you can set pronunciation as homework now. You couldn't really do before. And this is what I really like about it, okay, is that the beauty of these programs is if you think about when we talk in real life, say we're talking to a non-native speaker, an L2 speaker, and we don't understand every word, but we work it out. Okay, we work it out, the pronunciation is not quite perfect, or some words we can't make out at all. But because of the context, and because of our knowledge of our own language, we work out exactly what's being said. And that's how these programs work. Your pronunciation doesn't have to be perfect in order to be recognized. So yeah, that's the beauty of them for me. Again, it recognizes, mirrors real life. Okay, so just quickly motoring on, English outside of the classroom. Basically, the message I want to emphasize here is that if we can encourage, although this is out of the classroom, if we can encourage and highlight ways in which you can use social media to improve your English outside of the classroom, if we can encourage our pupils to do that, then naturally it's going to help us inside of the classroom. So ways of doing that, changing your phone language to English, for example. Follow English language learning pages, groups, channels. Asking your pupils to make their own. Excuse me. So yeah, that's just 4 ways in which you could do this. So what have we looked at so far? We looked at real world context, connectivity, speaking self-assessment, and English outside the classroom. The final one is, before I move on, yeah, this is important, I think, with all social media, is that don't put pressure on yourself to be the expert. Your pupils are always going to know more than you about social media. My older pupils knew more than me. You have to accept that. And rather than try and be the guru who knows everything, embrace it and ask them for their input as well. Okay, and very, very quickly, modern communication. Now, this is probably the most controversial thing I'm going to say, but anyway, I'm going to say it. Modern communication is not really about, or necessarily about words now. There are many different, or complete words anyway, there are many different ways that we use to communicate that you probably wouldn't find in your average textbook. So text speak is one. A means of communication that we use a lot is voice notes. Emojis, they are communication, they carry meaning. And video calls as well. And quite simply, social media will encourage and teach your pupils these forms of communication. I communicate quite regularly with David, one of the organisers of this conference, over social media. And we use text speak and we use emojis. It happens. And it's the way the world's going. So using social media will also help our pupils to learn these, what are going to be vital skills, becoming increasingly more important. And thank you, Victor. Yes, stickers and GIFs, they carry meaning, okay? They're not meaning in terms of words that we traditionally associate with communication, but they do. Just quickly, policing social media in the classroom. I do understand if you've never been the type to let mobile phones into your class and not social media, you might be a bit worried about certain things, about will they get distracted. That's totally normal and totally understandable. Ways of getting around that is maybe placing students in a circle. So you can look over their shoulder to see what they're doing. Watch their eyes. What do I mean by that? If you have a pupil doing this, if you have a pupil looking at you more than they're looking at their mobile phone, they're doing something they shouldn't be. Okay, so be aware of that. Time limits, like anything, the longer pupils have to spend on something, probably the more chances they have of being distracted. So keep time limits tight as well. And yes, avoid excessive use, like anything. Don't use it too much. I'm not saying you should use it every class here, but just be aware of the benefits that it can bring. Okay, wow, this is probably the quickest session I've ever done. We're getting towards the end, 4 minutes left. I'm just quickly going to recap before taking any quick questions. Let's put this all up on the screen. So just to recap, if you want to take a screenshot of something, this might be the one you want to take a screenshot of. Just going over all the benefits for me that social media can bring to the EFL classroom. And yes, just a few final thoughts, final musings. My main aim of this is to get you thinking, okay? Hopefully these activities can help you in your particular context, but just to get you thinking about the potential that social media can have in our classroom. Like it or love it, we are heavily influenced by it, and it has an obvious ability to motivate, engage, and interest. So have a think about that and think about if it could serve you in the classroom. Like anything, use it wisely and appropriately, not too much and not too little. Involve your pupils. Like I said, they know more about it than you'll ever will, especially things like TikTok, which I have no idea about. Involve your pupils there. And there's another thing, another unexpected benefit is that, yeah, you can educate them on appropriate use. I strongly believe that that's the problem amongst the youth of today, to sound like an old so-and-so. Educate them on appropriate use as well. It can be your opportunity to tell them how to do things properly on social media. And yes, it's time to embrace it. The world's moving forward, not backwards. Social media is a part of that. So yeah, use it wisely. Right, I'm going to take some questions. I'm going to leave up my contact details in there. If you want any more information, please, on anything I've said today, please get in touch. I've got my Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn there. Any questions, please, as well? Munis, online dictionaries. I mean, online dictionaries, you've got Cambridge Online Dictionary. That's probably the one that I use the most, or Oxford as well. Okay, sorry. Yeah, please type the questions in the Q&A box, please. I will just find that as well. I'll load that up. Any questions?
Greg, there was a request for you to go back a couple of screens to show.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, I'll just
let's.
Yeah, of course not. Let's go back. I'll just do, so this is a recap slide, I think it was, wasn't it? There we go. So yeah, like I said, if you want, yeah, an overview of what we talked about today, this is the slide for you. Is it okay using phones or other gadgets during lessons for pupils? Well, Malahat, of course, I genuinely believe it is, but it has to be responsible use. I'm not saying unbridled use of mobile phones given to your pupils and let them go for it. Of course, it needs to be policed well. And I do think before you even start this whole process, have a chat with your pupils about why you're doing it, and encourage them that it's going to benefit their English, but we need to use it appropriately and wisely as well. 1 more minute, Simon, I think, or should we end it there? I don't know.
I think I want to say thank you very much, Greg. That was really good. Lots of great kind of activities, and I think it kind of emphasizes, you know, you talked about connections and you know, the kind of connections we make these days. I think, you know, I was as you were talking, I was trying to think, is Zoom social media? Because that's how we are all connected now together today, isn't it? And especially over the last kind of 18 months, we've suddenly become a lot more connected in that sense. So these kind of activities, I'm going to be using a few of these this week. That's really good. Thank you very much for talking to us today. Yeah,
you're very, very welcome. Yeah, thank you everybody who came along. I really appreciate it.
Okay, so we're going to have a 5-minute break, and then we'll be back with another session in that time. So we'll see you in 5 minutes. Thanks very much.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, Greg.